Last year in London, there was the equivalent of a moped-enabled criminal attack every half an hour. Clearly fed up, Scotland Yard's Scorpion pursuit teams have released footage of their new policy to deliberately mow down moped-riding suspects during high-speed chases. So far, officers have knocked 63 such riders down, even when they're not wearing helmets. There is no upper speed limit for this measure, and it's called tactical contact. It appears to have reduced moped attacks by over a third. Now, putting aside my concerns over disproportionate force for now, what about the rest of us at risk of being caught in the crossfire? In 2016, police pursuits led to the deaths of 28 people. Surely there must be better technological solutions available. Police are already using stinger devices, wait for it, and the forensic marking of mopeds has sharply reduced theft. Releasing footage in this way makes me feel incredibly uneasy. There's something a little too dystopic about police celebrating mowing over suspects.
One, they're not mowing over suspects, and they haven't hurt anyone.
Have you seen some of these videos?
Well,
not mowing down,
yeah, but no, they're not mowing down subjects. And
they're celebrating. Just
exactly. I will explain what. Let me talk, and I'll explain what tactical contact is in a minute. However, I think that people in this country will be cheering from the rafters.
Sure they will.
In fact, a poll on your very radio station, guys, talked to 43,000 people, and 91% of them totally agreed with it. You know, the police here are damned if they do and damned if they don't. For years, we've been having a go at them. That they're not proactively policing, that they're letting criminals get away with stuff. Here, now they're doing something actually that is positive. Let's get one thing straight. When the police get involved in one of these chases, the crime has already happened, and the police have told them to stop. If they choose not to stop, they choose what happens to them after that. If these people and they're scumbags, these people, if they choose to steal a moped and to drive it at innocent, vulnerable people, the elderly, young people, if they choose, pregnant people, if they choose to steal them, to hurt them, to mug them, to try and stab them, well, then they choose the consequences of their actions.
Right,
and hang on a second, no, let me finish. And the consequences of their actions are that the police drive up to this and it's specially teamed things. They're called Scorpion drivers. They accelerate. When they get there, they take their hand off the accelerator, and they put their foot on the brake, and they just nudge the wheel, which puts the guy onto the bonnet, and it doesn't hurt him.
Carol, look, I agree with you 100% that the police
and if it did, it doesn't matter.
I agree with you 100% that the police are caught between a rock and a hard place. Right. I have every sympathy for the police, and I really don't care about the criminals. That's why I said I'm putting aside any concern for the criminals right now.
Let's look at what the police are actually doing.
Hold on, I'm worried about this.
OK, I thought you'd done your intro. I thought we were letting other people get involved.
I'm worried about the safety of the procedure, and I do also understand that before May, the police weren't even allowed to chase these suspects because if they weren't wearing helmets, the police weren't allowed to pursue them, right? So we've gone from doing absolutely nothing to knocking them off their bikes.
And you know the consequence of that? The consequence of that, the crimes have cut by 36%. Let's look at what they do. Now, here we go. See, this makes me very happy.
That's fantastic.
He's off.
Is that therapeutic for you guys, is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's like a video game.
Yeah, here we go. This is good. This is the guy. Now, watch this one. This is actually saying, that's what, yes, there we go, he's off. He's all right as well. They're all right. Nothing happens to them. And this is, they're just nudging the back wheel. There we go.
How can you say nothing?
It's all Barry Sheen here, isn't it? It's fantastic, Karen.
What is the underlying issue here? And I tell you how bad this has become now. I live in a relatively one of the safest parts of London or this country. And my teenage daughter said to me the other day, earlier this year, Daddy, I'm scared to walk home from the tube. And then she tells me stories about what's happened to her friends who are chased by these moped gangs. Now, what does this country come to? Our nearest police station has been closed. 50% of the public surveyed recently have not seen a policeman on their beat in a year. What has happened to that wonderful Bobby on the beat, that reassurance that you get just by seeing somebody? 20,000 the number of police that have been cut since 2010. Armed police force. you know, that is less than the level it was during the time
but
of the IRA problems.
This is the police doing their job.
So I'm saying, but underlying this is the rise in crime. In fact, this week there's been a debate in the House of Lords on the rise in crime and what are we doing about it. This is one attempt to do something about it, but the real problem, the real problem are the cuts. The real problem is the lack of resources. The lack of resources. Just can I just finish what I'm saying? The lack of resources as well, because a lot of police funding comes centrally. It's about 60-40 from local funding. Also, neighbourhood policing have been that is the underlying thing. Guys, you do not have the resources. The people are getting these criminals, the scooter gangs are fearless.
Guys, before we carry on, we just have to have a response from the police, and then of course you guys can carry on haranguing Lord Billimore.
I do it for a living.
But Amanda Pearson, Met Police Commander, has this to say.
I think there's been a perception that we won't intervene, that if there is a rider who has removed a helmet, what I would say is we will intervene, and we do intervene, because we have to consider the safety of that rider, the safety of the public, and also the safety of our officers.
Right, so I want to throw to Afua in a second. Cool. I just want to say that I agree that cuts are a problem. Do you think cuts are related to this problem?
I actually have a lot of sympathy for the police in this situation, because you can see how having a policy of not intervening if someone's not wearing a helmet is a massive incentive. And, you know, in my area, which has never seen this kind of crime before, we had one of these moped attacks. They were terrorising mothers with small children because they're especially vulnerable. But you've got to think about the police as well, because this is something, I mean, Carol, you're presenting this as a kind of, you know, harmless kind of...
No, I'm not. I didn't say that. Well, when did I say that?
You said that no one gets hurt and it's fine.
Well, what I said was no one has been hurt so far.
Let me tell you what the Police Federation have said about this, and they're worried about it. They said, will they, and they're talking about their officers, be backed, or will their livelihood and liberty be put at risk? Just by launching the pursuit, police officers take a risk. There need to be protections around this afforded to our colleagues, both in law, from the force, and with public, political and media opinion. They are doing nothing more than their jobs. They must be backed.
They're protecting us.
My concern about this is that I think you can't talk about this without talking about cuts to policing, because what feels worrying about it is we've moved from a time where there was a police presence in your community and there was intelligence-led policing. The police knew what was going on and they knew people, to a time when there are no police, and when something happens they come in and have to use violence. That is not
Let me just try and wrestle it back to
can you get
what...
an answer from him as well?
Oh yes, so we will. Yeah. Do you support this tactic in a sentence, in a word, yes or no?
If they are supported, because legally the problem at the moment is even an ambulance driver or in a police chase, they are still liable.
Okay.
And that's not fair.
In a moment, an opportunity to see George Osborne on the pledge, which I always look forward to. And after that, I want Detective Chief Superintendent Nawaz to tell us the better technological methods that can be deployed. So we'll come to you. I'm looking forward to that, Detective Chief Superintendent. But this is some of the activities that these people get up to. We're going to take you through the three. So here we go, using the mopeds, a young woman, their phone. Now, this is actually George Osborne. This is George Osborne, the former Chancellor, now editor of an evening newspaper. He goes, and then these are people getting away from a robbery, again using mopeds. These are the sort of people we're dealing with, the sort of people who, God willing, they won't, but might attack your daughter, and God willing, they never do. So talk us through these better technological measures.
Listen, I'll make it very clear, I've got no sympathy for the criminals.
No, of course,
I'm worried about bystanders.
I'm not saying you do.
What we saw there, of course, is horrific.
And how else do you get them?
Yeah, so the question is whether the opportunity cost of this tactic is worth some of the deaths that may be caused. That's my point, and that was my point in the talk-up. I said there have already been deaths due to police pursuits.
How do we catch them, Maajid?
Right, well, that's the question. Is it worth the cost?
Yes.
If we're having high-speed chases that have no upper speed
limit... To keep his daughter safe, yes.
As horrific as that footage was, it doesn't lead to death. If trying to stop that leads to death of innocent bystanders, is it a cost worth paying? That's simply the dilemma.
It isn't just death, because as you said, your daughter's friend. I actually interviewed a mum the other day whose daughter had her phone pinched in the street. Her daughter now suffers from anxiety issues. She won't go into the street. Now multiply that by... And these guys are committing up to 30 crimes an hour. So we're not just talking deaths, we're talking... let's stop worrying about the perpetrators of crime. Let's worry about the victims.
No. One crime every 30 minutes.
They were having... the people that were hitting 30 people coming out of the tube in the space of 1 hour. In the space of 1 hour. One moped.
And the number one priority of any government is the security of its citizens. And if your citizens don't feel safe, the government is failing in its duty.
With respect, that's my point, because I wouldn't feel safe if I have to watch a mother in a pram get knocked down because of this sort of tactic. And my point is about the bystanders, not the criminals. And I'm wondering whether the anxiety you're worried about is worse for you than the potential death caused by the tactic.
I think what we're going to have to do, we could carry on discussing this.
That's the dilemma.
We could carry on discussing this, Chief Constable. We need to move on.